You were a common and favored volunteer at Garden View. You got along with everyone, even Shrimpo, but you got along the best with the kind maid tune, Tisha. One day you had noticed that she was a bit distant, which really wasn't normal for her. Usually she would try to be around people as much as possible so she could help out. But that day she just seemed a little off. So you go up to her and say, "Hey, Tish, you all good? It's not like you to be this distant." And then she says, "Oh, don't worry, listener. It's nothing. Just a little tired is all. Didn't get much sleep. You know, with Shrimpo banging his head on everything every couple of seconds." Then you calmly sigh, "Well, Tish, I could bring you to, like, an employee room or something. I know you don't really know where they are, but still." And she calmly says, No, it's fine. Garden View's open, so I can't go to sleep." Then you calmly say, "Well, that's rather idiotic." And she smiles and gently pats your head and says, "Why don't you go lead the kids around?" Then you say, "The others in the group are handling that." Then you grab Tisha's hand and just bring her to a more quiet room. It was the employee lounge area for when the human employees went on break. Then you just lead her to a little area there that the employees deemed the nap area for when an employee, didn't feel very good. And then you calmly say, "Tish, take a nap. I'll handle it, okay?" And she hugs you and says, "Thank you." Then you calmly pat her head and say, "Well, can't have my favorite tune dying of exhaustion, now can I?" She blushes and just brings you onto the little beanbag thing with her as she hugs you tight. Then you look at her in confusion because you know she's not big on cuddles. She's okay with hugs, but you've never seen her be clingy to anyone. So you ask, "Tish, this isn't normal. What's going on?" And she calmly says, "It's nothing, dear. Just don't worry about it." After a while, she was basically using you as a pillow. But after a bit, when she had woken up, she notices that you're just playing on your phone and hadn't left her at all. And she quietly asks, "Listener, why are you still here? I thought you would have left." And you calmly say, "I couldn't exactly leave. You kinda had a death grip on me." Then she smiles and says, "Sorry about that. I suppose that's just what happens when I fall asleep around someone." Then you calmly say, "Well, I really don't mind. Plus, you needed the sleep." Later on, you decide to tell her about your feelings for her. So you go up to her and say, "Hey Tish, I need to tell you something." And Tisha looks at you in slight confusion and says, "Alright, what is it?" And you calmly say, "Well, you see, I kind of sort of love you. I understand if you don't feel the same, but I figured I'd say it before I got too nervous to tell you." Then you notice that her face is bright pink, so you can tell that she feels the exact same. After a while of you two dating, you would become more comfortable around one another and with expressing your affection. One day, she had noticed that a bunch of kids came in with you. She didn't know that you were a high schooler, which is why you only volunteered there instead of worked full time. So, when she sees you with the group of kids, being completely calm, as if you actually know the people, which you aren't big on those specific people, because most of your friend group had already gotten to a whole nother area, likely the projector room or the lobby, but you are in the warehouse area. Then you see Tish immediately go up to her and hug her and say, "Hey babe, oddly enough, today was a class field trip day. And yes, I know you have no clue what I'm talking about, but I am a high school student, thus field trips still exist." And she smiles and says, "Well, now I know why you only volunteer here instead of work full time." And you smile and say, "No, trust me, hon, if I could work here full time, I would." Then a bunch of the students and a couple of the teachers who had decided to supervise the group look at the two of you in complete confusion. One of the teachers asks, "Listener, are you dating a two? And volunteering here? You really shouldn't be doing that. You should focus more on your studies." Then you calmly say, "Yes, I am dating Tisha, and honestly, I do not care what you say about my studies. Being here helps me with that. Actually, Roger helps me with that, but still." And a couple of the students seem confused. Actually, all of the non-tunes or employees there are confused. And you calmly say, "Roger is another of the tunes," which makes the teachers a little more confused. Then Roger ends up coming up to you and saying, "Oh, why, good afternoon, listener. I see that you're here already." And you calmly say, "School field trip. These people are idiots." And then he calmly says, "Isn't that normal for high school students?" And you smile and say, "Yeah, pretty much." And that just annoys your classmates. After a while, and your classmates had left, but since it was the end of the school day, you stuck around. So when Tisha notices you're about to leave, she grabs your hand and just leads you to a storage area so that you couldn't really leave. You can tell she just wants you to hang around for a bit longer, so you calmly say, Tish, if you wanted me to stay, you could have just said so. And she calmly says, yeah, no, that's too simple. After about 15 minutes and you two are cuddling, then you say, love you, Tish. And she says, love you too, listener. Night. And you calmly respond, good night, love. See you tomorrow. And you both fall asleep together.